Hello everyone, this is your host Shoma Roy Chakraborty and I welcome you to this virtual program organized by Arambagh Vivekananda Academy on the occasion of World Environment Day. Our institution, Arambagh Vivekananda Academy, strongly believes in the healthy harmony between education and environment, and that is the reason that we provide our students with a lush green environment in which they can develop both physically and mentally. Well, we all know that 5th June is celebrated all around the world as the World Environment Day, and our institution also keeps this celebration as a significant part of the curriculum. However, since 2020, the world has witnessed some major upheavals due to this coronavirus. And hence, we are left with no other choice but to celebrate this day virtually. Richard Rogers rightly quotes, "The only way forward to improve the quality of the environment is to get everybody involved." Environment is our impetus, but unfortunately, we are ruthlessly exploiting it for our own selfish ends. So, how can we save our environment and gift a better future to our generations to come? Well, there are many such questions that arise in our mind every day. Some of these questions will be asked today by our teacher Aishwarya Mukherjee, and we will be getting some really meaningful answers from the fountainhead of our institution, Sri Samarendranath Chakravarti.
Hello everyone, wish you all a very good morning. I am your Aishwarya Mukherjee ma'am, and today I am your host for this exclusive interview session. Now, what is the cause that we have gathered here today? The cause is today is 5th of June, the World Environment Day. We have one earth to live in and one earth to protect and one earth to conserve for the safety of all of us. Today is the World Environment Day, and in this occasion I would like to quote 2 to 3 lines. As if what exists until it is lost and becomes precious. Yes, the earth is where we all exist, and for our sake, for a broader sake, we should, conserve our earth, okay? Because it is there now for all of us, and once it is lost, then we are going to realize how precious it was for all of us. Today, in order to create awareness for conserving and preserving our bountiful nature, our bountiful environment that is God has gifted us from above, we are going to ask some questions, some very, very important thought-provoking questions from your and our Honorable Director Sir of our school, Arambagh Vivekananda Academy, that is Mr. Shomarendranath Chakraborty. So let us welcome our interviewee for today, that is our Director Sir, Mr. S.N. Chakraborty. Welcome to the interview session. Wish you a very good morning. And so, sir, I hope you are, bucked up and ready with this interview session. I am Aishwarya Mukherjee, ma'am. And so, sir, I'll be asking you some questions concerning our environment. That would be very thought-provoking and that would be very enlightening for our viewers. That includes our parents, our students and our teachers and everyone else who will be viewing this interview session. So can I shoot you with my very first question? Okay, sir. So my first question is, beyond the four walls, beyond the four walls, how important is actually outdoor learning? Since you are the head of an institution, a very booming institution, so how important do you think is outdoor learning beyond the four walls, and is it at all really practicable?
Good morning, Aishwarya ma'am. Actually, ma'am, outdoor learning, as you are telling, that outdoor learning is more important than what we learn through books, that we call bookish learning, or in modern times, digital learning. Actually, outdoor learning has no substitute, no alternative at all. Outdoor learning is more effective, more fruitful, more practical. Bookish learning or digital learning is artificial learning, is theoretical learning, theoretical knowledge. But the practical knowledge and the real knowledge that we learn only from outdoor experiences. Okay, you see that many subjects like history, geography, science can best be learned through outdoor learning, not through books. Okay, actually the two things are quite different. It is quite different to read about the Taj Mahal or to see it in pictures, but to look at the Taj Mahal in a moonlit night gives us a total. Okay, so you see, total learning can only be provided by outdoor learning. Now to your question, how far is it practicable? Now in my opinion, it is practicable. In most of the cases, it is totally practicable. Our old poet R.M. Tagore has done it. He has practiced it at Shantiniketan. And you know that learners from all over the world came to him to learn through experiences, practical experiences. So outdoor learning is always practicable. But
Exactly.
one thing is required. That is the sincere efforts of the teachers. It is required first. If the teachers are resourceful, if the teachers can lead the students to encourage them, to inspire them to have some outdoor learning, of course it is possible. Now you know that we read of the oceans, we read of the mountains, but can we get any clear and full idea or conception about the oceans, about the vastness of the oceans or the majesty of the Himalayas without seeing them with our own eyes? No, no, no. So you see that outdoor learning has no substitute at all. Okay? Even the germination of a seed, simple germination of a seed, or the turning of green bud into colors, into flowers of different colors, creates a separate impression, an ingenuity on the minds of the students. So, my opinion is outdoor learning must have to be practiced in each and every institution, and it should be practiced, and the teachers must encourage the students to do it. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. You are absolutely right. You know, with the unanimous effort of each and every teacher and the cooperation, active cooperation of the students, and with very simple activities, we can always, you know, foster outdoor learning. Okay. Yeah, aptly said. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So I will go on with my second question. So what are your views about a green space, a very environment friendly zone with plenty of oxygen supply within the school premises, you know, one day after the school reopens, for every student, for every pupil, after this pandemic situation, after this coronavirus you know, heals away completely? So what are your views about your school? How are you going to, you know, make it a very environment friendly zone for each and every learner, for each and every pupil out there, sir?
Oh, to create
Yes.
green space with plenty of oxygen, it is not an overnight job. Okay, it cannot be done even in months. It takes years to create a green environment. But fortunately, in our AV Academy, we are really proud of a green space, a blank space with a garden.
Exactly.
There are more than 100 rose plants and different seasonal flowers of multicolors. So you see that we have a scope, and thus all the boundary, the surrounding of the garden, surrounding of the ground is covered with trees. Last year, due to the devastating effect of Amphan, many of the trees, Sishu, Krishnachuda, Radhachuda, even Segun, have been destroyed. Now, in order to replace it, what we have done, we have planted a few fruit trees, ranging from mango, guava to pomegranate. But it will take 2 or 3 years to create the green environment there. Yes, if the day comes, one fine morning, if the students, if our beloved children enter the ground, enter our campus through our gates, yes, they will feast their eyes with green environment on the right side. Okay, due to regular rainfall this year, we see that the trees have luxuriously grown. Yes, the growth of the trees is really luxurious. Students need not have to visit the ground, but instead, even through the windows, they can get a full and clear view of the green environment, and that can provide them O2, yes, which is the primary requirement of human, not only human beings, but all living creatures. Okay, so green space we are trying to create, and our support staff
Yes.
and also physical education teacher Anup Das with his team are always trying to maintain the ground, to maintain the garden. We must be thankful to them.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Indeed, our school has a beautiful location that is itself, heavenly, that is itself filled up with lots of greenery, and it provides sufficient oxygen, and there is a beautiful playground to play. Yes, I really agree with that. I'm in love with the school. I'm in love with everything about Arambagh Vivekananda Academy. Okay, so sir, one thing that is, it had been a long time that we all are homebound. Even the students. The students are all children. They are sitting back at home. They are doing their virtual classes, and they are missing this environment in the school itself. The surroundings of our school. And this thing, and this year also we come to know that the examinations, even the board examinations, got cancelled. So it's the whole scenario is very depressive. It's very depressing for all the students who had this mental setup that we're going to sit for the board examination and then it gets cancelled. So it is very depressing for everyone out there. So that induces me to ask one question to a learned person like you, that is, what do you think? How has this situation taken a toll over the minds of the examinees? All the students who could not appear for their boards and who are appearing for their examinations, sitting back at their home. So how has it taken a toll over the minds of these examinees? Sir, if you can answer me, what do you think about it?
Yes, the main concern, I think, students in general and the examinees in particular are the worst affected by the pandemic COVID-19. All other things, all other disasters that have been brought about by pandemic 19 can be recovered. Even the Indian economy that has suffered loss and the setback that has been going on, threatening an economic depression, can also be recovered in years. But in my opinion, nothing can get back the leakage that has been brought about in the mindsets of students. How can the adolescents get back their teenage expressions with their fears? By the time this pandemic is going over, students will leave the school campus and some of them may already get over the teenage. So students are the worst sufferers. And yes, the examinees are the scapegoats. Ma'am, you have perfectly used the word toll. What has been done is the toll upon these examinees. Class 10 board exam
Exactly.
has been cancelled a few weeks earlier. On hearing the news, many of our candidates, 10 board examinees, burst into tears. Actually, they were taking preparation for a public examination, the first public examination that they are going to face, and they are trying to recover the preparation, the weak preparation, the weak performance that they did in the pre-midterm exam. But due to cancellation of the board exam, no chance is there to get their weight. Now, last, the 12 board examiners. Yes, they were waiting and waiting while the series of postponements were going on. It was first scheduled on 4th May. Then there was a ray of hope in the end of June. In the end of May, But on the fateful evening, the ill-fated evening of 1st June, board has been compelled to cancel 12 board exam due to the announcement
Yeah.
of our Honorable Prime Minister. Of course, board is here helpless. Government is also helpless. Actually, the only alternative that was with the management, that was with the government, that was with the board management, was to hold the exam in the home centers. But the government has taken this initiative only because of the interest of the best interest of the students.
Exactly.
Actually, the topmost priority, the utmost importance has been given to health and safety of millions of students. That is why board has been compelled to cancel the exam. Let us see what effect it actually lays upon the students. And the last one is, of course, the examinees getting preparation for different types of competitive exams like NEET, JEE, even JEE Advanced and the like. Let us see what awaits in their fates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. This is indeed very sad a scenario. I do also feel this, sir, that all the students, they are actually the worst victims. You have correctly uttered it, absolutely correct. That is what also we the teachers feel. Okay, sir. So sir, a thought came to my mind, that we human beings are inherently very dominant and power hungry. Even what was beyond us, we have always tried to reach it. Like we give the country a heart, and we give the cave a mouth, and then we give the storm an eye. So how do you think that we human beings are using our environment for our own benefits, and how are we losing the safety of our race in this long run? So how are we exploiting our environment basically, and how is it going to affect us? What do you think about it?
Oh, your question just reminds me one famous quote of our Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The earth has enough resources to meet the needs of all, but not enough to satisfy the greed of even one single person." Just we must have to read between the lines, emphasizing each and every word, that earth has provided us enough natural resources, good environment for our living. It can meet the needs of all people of the whole world, but it cannot satisfy the greed of even one single person. You see that? Yes, greed, this all-pervading greed and the hankering for power is the main cause of destruction of this environment. We are destroying our environment in every respect. We are polluting everything. Air, water, soil, sound, everything is getting polluted. Not only that, what are we doing? We are cutting trees. We are destroying forests. We are even cutting through dynamites. We are cutting the hills and mountains to erect channels. Not only that, in order to construct our roads, we are using stone chips by busting the hills and mountains. We are not satisfied. We are not satisfied that greed, yes, greed. So we are, in order to decorate our houses, we are using marble stones from Rajasthan. You see, so you are right. You are actually right. Your questions are very thought-provoking. I see. Now you see that you are right. I am telling you, repeatedly, because actually what we are doing is
Exactly.
destroying the natural environment for our race in the long run. The race in the long run, our race in the long run will suffer, go on suffering. Okay. Now you can remember another quote. You can remember another quote that it is that we have not borrowed this world from our forefathers. We have not borrowed it, but we have borrowed it from our children. Actually, we have not inherited it. It is not a property of inheritance, that we have not inherited it from our forefathers, but we have borrowed it from our children. So, what we should do? We must have to preserve. We must have to preserve something for them. We must not misuse or overuse these natural resources so that the next generations have to suffer. They are suffering. They are suffering. They will go on suffering. You see, I can also remember one famous line of the poem On Killing a Tree by G.F. Patel. The last line of the poem is, and then it's done. That is after completion of the cutting of the trees, the poet comments just one single line, and then it's done. That is, we have completed the process of destruction. Okay, by cutting trees, we are doing this. What do you think, man? What I think is that cutting trees, felling trees, is not murder. Many tell that you are murdering, but murder is killing others. What we are doing is, while cutting trees, it is suicide, because we are killing ourselves. Yes, I may be excited in this question, because it is a very effective question. Ma'am, thank you for throwing this question to me.
Yes. This is indeed very sad a scenario. I do also feel this, sir, that all the students, they are actually the worst victims. You have correctly uttered it, absolutely correct. That is what also we the teachers feel. Okay, sir. So sir, a thought came to my mind, that we human beings are inherently very dominant and power hungry. Even what was beyond us, we have always tried to reach it. Like we give the country a heart, and we give the cave a mouth, and then we give the storm an eye. So how do you think that we human beings are using our environment for our own benefits, and how are we losing the safety of our race in this long run? So how are we exploiting our environment basically, and how is it going to affect us? What do you think about it?
Okay. Central Pollution Control Board or State Pollution Control Board are the right steps. Of course, these are the right steps to preserve the environment, to protect our environment from total destruction. These are the right measures, of course. And they have enacted laws and rules in order to stop all these kinds of. Yes, several departments are also there, and hundreds of rules are there. But I am sorry to tell you, man, that in our country, yes, laws are enacted, but they are not enforced properly. What is required is enforcement of these laws in spirit and word. Okay, But it is not done here. What is done is that most of the laws are only in paper. Okay, these laws are not enforced in every way. Okay, why? Because it is because of the corruption and negligence, corruption of some personnel of the departments and negligence of some person of the departments. They think that they are getting a job. They are not thinking that they are doing a service. Okay, to serve in the department of pollution control or environment preservation. What is required is that they must have to think that it is service. They must have to serve. Okay, this is the first thing. And second and more important thing is that what is required is consciousness of the people. People are not conscious at all. Here we see that people are not conscious at all. We miserably fail. We miserably fail to create consciousness, alertness among the people. This is our failure. Okay, just think of the present situation. You see the present situation. Not to speak of maintaining social distances. Even the simple use of masks, okay, which is required to protect themselves, we are not maintaining it. Okay, we feel embarrassed to put on the mask. Okay, now as that you are far from here. That is why I am here now just putting off the masks. Otherwise, mask is always on my face. We are not doing it. So you see that how much careless we are. So the more important thing that I am telling you is to create consciousness, create alertness, create awareness among the people. Yes, that is required. I think that is the panacea of all diseases. Okay, people must have to grow conscious.
Actually, sir, actually what only regulators implementing or enforcing the environmental requirements would not be enough. The consciousness of the citizens, the consciousness of the human beings are the most important criteria. You are correct, sir. Sir, one question that I want to ask you is that how far do you think is it important to inculcate ecological studies, that is to talk plainly, that is environmental studies or environmental science, as an independent subject, just like any other important mainstream subjects, as an important independent subject in the school curriculum, thinking the present scenario, the present condition of our modern world? How far do you think it is applicable, it is necessary to inculcate environmental studies as an independent subject in the school curriculum?
Ma'am, in the questionnaire, you have selected very well selected questions. I must thank you. Okay, you are right. As a teacher, you are right to ask me question whether ecology and environment should be prescribed as a compulsory separate compulsory subject. That is your question. Here my opinion is that, of course, ecology and environment must be a separate compulsory subject from class 1 to class 2.
Exactly, sir.
Because each and every child, each and every student should know how to preserve our environment. They must have to know the value, okay, that this is nothing but death. We are proceeding towards death. They must have to grow conscious about all that. That is why ecology and environment as a separate compulsory subject should be introduced by all boards from class 1 to class 12. If we cannot preserve our environment, if everything is destroyed, how will our children survive? So you see, it must have to be prescribed as a separate compulsory subject.
Yeah.
But I have one suggestion. I do not know whether the boards will abide by that suggestion or pay attention to that suggestion. I do not know. But my suggestion is that this should not be prescribed, this should not be included in the board final exam. Right? Because our students are already overburdened with syllabus, already overburdened with so many subjects. They are learning 2 languages, in some cases 3 languages, okay, English, Hindi or any other regional language, again a classical language. In this way, they are already learning 3 languages. Mathematics, whether they like it or not, all of them must have to study mathematics, then physics, chemistry, biology, history, geography, pol science, economics. So many subjects are there. They are already overburdened. So in the board final exam, ecology and environment should not be included in the board exam. But then it should be evaluated by the schools themselves. Those schools themselves should take the responsibility of evaluating them. And we, the school leaders, the principals, the teachers, must have to be careful about that. They must have to maintain their honesty, impartiality and integrity while assessing a student by themselves. Okay? If they can do it, then it should not be included in the board final exam. It is not required at all. Okay, in this year, yes, the schools, individual schools have been entrusted with preparing 10 class 10 board results. Of course, there are some norms and papers are there. Everything, students' copies are there. Still, it has been entrusted to the school authority. Okay, and I think that each and every school must maintain it properly. Okay, so this is my answer. 2 sentences, ecology and environment must be included as a separate compulsory subject in our school curriculum. But my suggestion is not to include it in the board final exam. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for your concern. Now, let me not stretch this interview too long so that the viewers get bored with my questions and your answers. So, let me ask you one last question. This question will probably give a warning bell to all those, who are randomly exploiting nature. That is, what is your end of the world scenario if we continue to exploit nature for our own benefits, for our own temporary benefits? What is your end of the world scenario like? Yes.
Oh, this is your last question. Okay. As it is your last question, let me answer it only in one sentence. It is also an oft-quoted saying that temporary gain is equal to permanent loss. Temporary gain is equal to permanent loss. That is what we are deriving as temporary benefits. We are always bringing
Exactly, sir.
permanent loss. Okay, you see, we are sowing the seeds of poison. We are sowing the seeds of poison in every respect, and our children, our next generations, our offsprings will surely reap the harvest. That is the inevitable fate. Nothing to do.
Exactly.
Okay,
sir.
you see that. So we must not hanker after only temporary benefits. We must have to think of permanent gains. Okay, we must have to think of it. you see that in this situation, let me also tell you one thing in conclusion. To conclude, let me tell you that I am afraid. Of course, I am apprehensive of that. Now, for these 2 years, we are moving about, we are using masks and sanitizers. And days are coming, madam, God forbid, but days are coming when people may have to move about by using PPE kits to protect themselves from all kinds of viruses. Okay, so the world is being filled with so many things, and you see that yes, the media, the reports are telling that these viruses can be produced in the laboratories, scientific laboratories, that it is not nature's creations. Yeah, they are telling, it is of course yet to prove it, but if it is really proved that some countries have always produced it and in the laboratories in order to destroy the others, then really we, the creations of God, are helpless. We are helpless, madam. Again,
Exactly.
at the end, I must thank you. I must thank you for this, for taking this initiative, on Environment Day, 5th June, the Environment Day that is coming to us. Okay, that is today, and you see that on this Environment Day, such types of questions are always welcome. Always welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, sir, for conversing with me on this very, very important topic. Thank you so much for your precious time and for your concern. I hope that this interview session is enjoyed by our audience, and it has thrown a light upon how should we react in this one life on this one earth. And till then, you take care. And to my viewers, you take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Stay safe, stay sound. Take care of yourself, your parents, and our Mother Earth. Okay? And our environment and our nature. Bye-bye.
The second phase of interaction will be between Rupkatha Karmakar, a student of class 10, and our biology teacher, Mrs. Bidisha Adak Bera.
So I'm going to ask you some questions, and the first question from my side is that we all know that in this pandemic situation, our country India is facing a serious crisis of life-giving oxygen. So can you please suggest the names of some plants that can be kept at home?
Yes, sure. There are not many plants around us that we can keep indoor to purify the air. Rather, you can say this type of plants give a lot of oxygen during photosynthesis. You have already learned, isn't it, that plants give out oxygen during photosynthesis. So you can see here, this is Erica palm. So we can keep Erica palm as an indoor plant that can make the air fresh or purify the air and add lot of oxygen in your room. And even there are lot many plants that can add oxygen or that can purify the air around us. So let's show you some of the plants which are very common, and we can keep these plants indoor that can purify the air and give us lot of oxygen. So let's have a look.
That is, philodendron can be easily available. You can keep philodendron in your home as indoor plant. Snake plant can be kept indoor, and snake plant as a indoor plant, this also gives us lot of oxygen. Snake plant is a very good choice for you. You can even keep aloe vera. You can see this is a spider plant, we can keep indoor. You can see lucky bamboo, variety of, this is actually not bamboo, this is a Prasennia that we can keep indoor. This also purify the air. This is anthurium which we can keep indoor. You can keep even money plant at home. You can keep fig, then you can keep snake plant. I'm showing another plant.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your ideas with us. And the second question from my side is that We all know that plants release carbon dioxide. So, what is your suggestion? Should we keep the plants for home decor?
Yes, your question is valid. Some of us think that keeping plant inside the bedroom or inside the room as indoor plant may be risky, because we know that every living organism respire, isn't it? So plants also respire as we do, as the animals also do. So you see, the plants at night do not perform photosynthesis, that we know, and respiration is going throughout day and night. So every time an organism respire, even a plant also respire every time, even at the night. So the question is, can we keep the plants indoor as they respire and give out carbon dioxide at night? So we will inspire carbon dioxide given by the plant. But you see, the respiration rate in plant is much lower than that the rate at which we respire or our pets respire. So having a pet near your bedside, sleeping with the pet, is rather more dangerous than sleeping inside the room having some indoor plants, because respiration rate in plants is much lower. So for your question, my answer is obviously yes, you can keep plants indoor because they can purify the air, and the respiration during the night is much lower in the plants even during the daytime. So I hope you got my answer.
Thank you, ma'am. And now the third question, and rather a very important question from my side. We all are locked inside our homes in this pandemic situation. So how do you think that this situation will affect the minds of the adolescents?
Well, your question is very good. As an adolescent, as you are also an adolescent child, so from your point of view, I also often think that in this present situation where we are all locked up in the home, we are in a state of lockdown, rather say we are restricted, our movement are restricted. So in this condition, what the adolescents are thinking of and what is going on in their mind, it is very difficult to assess. You see, adolescents at this stage, they are supposed to mix with their peer group, they are about to go to school, they are about to mingle with friends, make friendship. Okay, but here you see, this is a state where they are just confined in their home. They are only they are facing all the online classes every now and then. They are always with their parents. So the feelings, the problems that are arising in their daily life, or whatever they are thinking to share, that is unable, that is becoming more unable for them to express. So this is a very critical question to answer, and obviously there is some mental pressure in the minds of the teens and the adolescent people. So this need to be thought about, that what to do to cope up with the present situation. And mental health is equally affected in both adults and adolescents along with the children, because there is no scope of playing right now in this condition. So we can just jot down some we can have some routine, okay, where we can give some time to ourselves for recreation. Staying at home, we can, you can make a phone call, or you can you can video chat with your friends to feel that yes, we are close to each other and we are talking, we are sharing our feelings. So that much time you can spend with your friend through internet. Now see, technology has developed a lot, so we can use the access of the technology, and by that we can at least keep in contact or keep in touch with your peer group. I think that is my suggestion. The first opinion that I told you, that is, you can make calls, you can make video calls or call your friend and share your feelings. Secondly, see, there are a lot of motivational speakers, okay, so that motivational, you can hear some podcast. So there are a lot of podcasts you can hear, you can get some motivations. Even you can see some good videos, okay, YouTube videos, a lot of YouTube videos are there, a lot of YouTubers are there, that those who tell you the various skills or how to make a routine for study. So a lot of things are there, good things that you can access from there. And even you can create some hobbies. You can start doing some hobbies. So that will also give you some recreation and some peace of mind. At least you are creating something. I hope you will like my ideas and you can follow that to decrease your mental pressure and the mental anxiety that you are passing through in this stage.
And ma'am, the fourth and the last question from me. And I'm pretty sure that this question revolves in the minds of many. If there's anything that everyone could do at present to protect the environment, what would that be?
Yes, very good question, Rupkatha. So I think that as a citizen of a country, or moreover as a human being, everybody of us has some role to play to safeguard our environment. For that, the first, for my opinion, from my point of view, I would suggest you that we have to remember the 3 R's. What are these 3 R's? They are the reduce, reuse and recycle. So we have to reduce our demand for using plastic products or the man-made products that are non-biodegradable. Secondly come the reuse. We should reuse the various type of non-biodegradable products. We can use some useful product out of that we can say we can repurpose that thing. Suppose I am telling an example. Suppose a cola bottle that you have bought from the market. Okay, that you have already finished the cola. So what you are going to do? You are going to throw this cola bottle outside. No, you will not do that. So instead of that, what you will do? You can make some, like you can plant some plants there. Okay, that will look good. You can use many other things, like you can repurpose it. So that is my suggestion. And then come recycle. Finally recycling the non-biodegradable product, but it also needs some energy and water, lot of water for recycling. So that is my 3 R's. And secondly, I would like to say that minimize the use of water. Minimize using water and stop wasting.
On this occasion of World Environment Day, I remember the lines of Mahatma Gandhi. The earth has enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not enough to satisfy every man's greed. Man's greed is insatiable. From the beginning of the creation, man has always yielded to temptation and crafted a hazardous future for himself. Well, perhaps that is the reason why we are facing a powerful enemy in the form of coronavirus. Our next event strongly believes that every curse has a cure. The upcoming presentation is prepared by our English teacher Amrita Inakshi Mukherjee, and the speakers of the day are Srijani Ghosh of class 7 and Aradhana Gupta of class 10.
Good morning to all my respected teachers, beloved friends, and all elders. Today is World Environment Day. Myself, Srijani Ghosh of class 7. Now, I am going to highlight the important environmental problems our Mother Earth is facing recently. Our environment is constantly changing. Current environmental problems make us vulnerable to disasters and tragedies, now and in the future. The way the environmental problems are piling up around us is highly alarming. Some of the key issues are: 1. Global warming. The global warming is no doubt one of the greatest environmental challenges that the planet Earth is witnessing at present. The emission of greenhouse gases due to burning of fossil fuels and deforestation causes global warming, which in turn causes an increase in temperature, rising of sea levels, melting of polar ice caps, floods, droughts, and forest fires. The Amazon rainforest fire in 2019, the splitting of world's largest iceberg in Antarctica, the cyclones like Amphan, Nisarga, and Yas, etc. are some of the devastating effects of global warming. 2. Deforestation. The cutting of trees in large scale to make space for residential, commercial or industrial projects shrinks the green cover of the environment, resulting in less oxygen, shortage of rainfall and temperature rise. 3. Climate change. Irregular length of seasons and weather patterns, melting of glaciers, desertification, frequent hurricanes, etc. are some of the climate changes as a result of global warming. 4. Pollution. Pollutions of the air, water and soil caused by overuse of plastics, industrial waste, toxic gases from cars and factories, burning of fossil fuels, acid rain and oil spills are creating severe environmental hazards. 5. Loss of biodiversity. Species and habitats are becoming extinct due to human activities causing an imbalance in natural processes and posing a threat to ecosystem. 6. Ocean acidification. The increase in the production of CO2 by humans causes the ocean's acidity to rise, which has a negative impact on marine life. 7. Ozone layer depletion. Pollution caused by CFCs in the air creates a hole in the ozone layer, which protects our Earth from the UV rays of the sun. 8. Acid rains. Pollutants in the atmosphere such as SO2 and NO cause acid rain, which has negative consequences for human life, wildlife and aquatic species. 10. The outbreak of viruses. Viruses like Ebola, influenza, Zika, malaria and corona infect both humans and animals. In January 2021, a paper published in the journal Science of the Total Environment revealed evidence that climate change may have played a direct causal role in the emergence of the virus responsible for this COVID-19 pandemic. In conclusion, we may say that if humans continue moving forward in such a harmful manner towards the future, then there will be no future to consider. Thus, we all should keep in mind Dalai Lama's speech in this context. It is our collective and individual responsibility to preserve and tend to the world in which we all live. Thank you.
Very good morning to all the excellencies, respected elders and your friends. Myself, Aradhana Gupta from class 10, and I am glad to get this opportunity to speak on this day, the World Environment Day. In the past, our environment was clean, green and it was full of birds and animals. But take a look at the environment today. We have constructed concrete jungles. The natural scenery is hidden behind the skyscrapers. If any scenery is left to see at all, after cutting 11 billion trees each year. Although we call Mother Nature, but our behavior to our mother is horrific. Our mother is in trouble. Yes, dear friends, it is truly in trouble. But we the students can bring about a drastic change if we want to. School life is not all about good academics, friends and having fun. In fact, it's also about learning. Learning to save us, to save our environment. I'll tell you 10 ways in which you can save nature. First, planting trees. Creating a forest seems to be a fantasy, isn't it? Still, an NRI couple, Dr. A.K. Malhotra and Kamala Malhotra, did this miracle. They bought 55 acres of barren land south of Himalayas and started planting saplings. And guess what? After 23 years, it has turned into a wildlife sanctuary. Although you can't build a forest, but can't we plant a little sapling once a week? That's not harder than to live with oxygen cylinders, of course. Second is water conservation. Remember the role of Phung-Soo Bangru played by Amir Khan in the film 3 Idiots? Well, it's inspired by a real-life engineer from Ladakh named Sonam Wangchuk. In 2015, Wangchuk built a 64-foot tall ice stupa, an artificial glacier. His prototype started to melt in April 2015, watering several fields of newly grown poplar trees. Although you can't build a glacier, but turning off the tap while brushing is in your hands. So keep an eye on the running taps and fix them to save water. 3. Use of reusable bags. The plastic bags end up in landfills and often suffocate animals who get stuck in them or mistake them as food. So in your next shopping, avoid the use of plastics by taking reusable and recyclable bags. 4. Say no to printing. We as students waste a lot of paper here and there, and sometimes teachers want us too to take printed copies of study stuff. Try to minimize the use of printing by going for ebooks and e-papers. 5. Say no to fertilizers. Fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides cause a lot of harm to the soil as well as the water. Let's set up compost bins to convert waste into manure rather than wasting our money on chemicals and harming our soil. 6. Is to stop the use of firecrackers. In 2018 on Diwali, when the entire country was in a festive mood, the capital city Delhi looked no less than a gas chamber. Due to the use of firecrackers, the air quality index rose from 163 to an alarming rate of 1005 in just 6 hours. So let's reduce the use of firecrackers and switch to green crackers instead. Number 7 is to reduce the use of fossil fuels. If the present rate of consumption, rather overconsumption of fossil fuels continues, we will soon face energy crisis. So let's reduce the use of fossil fuels by opting for walking, cycling or using public transport. 8. To save electricity. In order to save electricity, we can of course afford eco-friendly gadgets like iBamboo speaker, H2 alarm clock, solar powered lights, radios and fridges. Number 9 is the judicious use of plastics. Make sure that you are carrying your own bottle, because the plastic water bottles that get thrown into the ocean cause tremendous damage to the marine life. And the fact is, 91% of the plastics aren't even recycled, and they take more than 400 years to degrade. Number 10 is our sensible attitude. Yes, we often feel shameful to pick up a garbage from road and put it in a dustbin. Paradoxically, we never feel shameful when we are polluting our environment. So next time when you see a plastic, dispose it off at a proper place and spread awareness to stop it. Last but not the least, let's all pour our small droplets to make a mighty ocean of clean and green environment. Ending with the words of Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai, the environment and the economy are really two sides of the same coin. If we cannot sustain our environment, we cannot sustain ourselves.
Hello, this is not the end. Our next event is a graphical presentation prepared by our biology teacher Mrs. Vidisha Adat Bera and our geography teacher Mrs. Devika Jaiswal that focuses on different aspects of the environment. Well, let us witness it.
Hello everybody, how you are all doing? Hope everybody is fine and safe at home. I am Vidisha ma'am, your biology teacher. Here I am going to tell you something about the World Environment Day. Now here you can see I am standing in my garden. This is the micro environment that I have created. So environment is exactly the immediate surrounding in which an organism lives. Environment contains biotic factors, that is the living creatures, living plants, animals, microbes, and the abiotic factors, the non-living things. Now this day, World Environment Day, 5th of June, is celebrated every year to raise awareness among the people to know what is the importance of the environment. Now you can see the changes in the environment taking place these days. Are these changes taking place suddenly? What do you think? No, it is not. These changes are taking place right from the very beginning when the first human ancestor, Homo sapiens, stepped on this planet thousands of years back. The human beings, the Homo sapiens, we the social animals, so-called social animals, we are so greedy that we always want something from the environment. and we try to mold and change our nearby environment. Human beings have changed the environment in such a way that these days it is becoming very difficult for us to handle the changes going us around. Now, what are the causes that are bringing changes in this environment? They are mainly the overpopulation. You can see over the world, the population is exponentially growing at a fast rate. Second cause is the pollution. Human being, through his technical development and technologies, are changing the environment by creating unwanted and undesirable changes in the soil, water, and air. That is bringing a huge change in the level of and the quality of the environment. Thirdly, the burning of fossil fuel like coal and petroleum for transportation is also bringing a huge change and adding unwanted things in the environment. Fourthly, you can see the causes are the soil erosion, change in the quality of the environment, and so on. So, my dear children, World Environment Day, the 5th of June, is such a day that we should remember to at least do something to protect and safeguard our environment. Thanks to everybody to give your valuable time to hear me.
World Environment Day is a day of celebration. The United Nations has dedicated the 5th of June every year to pledge support for environmental protection. From beach cleanups to mass planting of trees to marches, individuals, communities and government come to stand shoulder to shoulder to save and protect our planet Earth. This year we cannot take to the beaches, forests and streets. We must stay at home, keep our distance and mark the World Environment Day today on 5th of June virtually. The interdependence between humanity and biodiversity is so profound that the latter's vulnerability is our own. Now it's high time to find out the root cause of environmental degradation, to appreciate the vital role of the health of our planet, and to take immediate actions to conserve our nature. Hello and good morning everyone. Myself, Devika Jaiswal, Assistant Teacher of Arambagh Vivekananda Academy, take the privilege to show the path of ecosystem restoration through my presentation. The sustainability of human life on Earth in the future is in danger. Human actions have produced irreversible changes to the environmental conditions. It's time to make unprecedented changes to create sustainable existence on Earth. But how can we do it? We can start by understanding how do we get into it. 20,000 years ago, humankind consisted of less than 1 million hunter-gatherers across the globe. We lived with the resources on offers in balance with the nature. But it wasn't an easy life. Nature determined our survival. We used our unique minds to challenge the reality. We learned how to tame the wild. We get more from the environment. Our population boomed, as did our demands. Every time a new problem arose, and we solved it, altering the Earth's entire surface in the process. And now we have changed the Earth so profoundly that it seems the Earth has entered a new phase of its existence. Welcome to Anthropocene, the age of humans. The tables have turned. We now determine nature's survival. The planet is ours. But there is just one problem. We are now totally out of balance with nature. Now, our planet is becoming less wild. We have cleared 3 trillion trees, cultivated half its fertile land. Every day our population is increasing. As the population is increasing, it is leading to overexploitation of the resources. Sometimes we are over-consuming the resources. Our demands are increasing and thus it is leading to overconsumption. Rapid industrialization, urbanization is leading to more ecological imbalance. Vehicles on roads have increased, which leads to emission of carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, hydrocarbons and other pollutants, which in turn lead to global climatic change. We are even destroying the natural habitats. With destruction of forests, the natural habitats of the animals are also destroyed. In the last 50 years, the population of the wild animals have reduced by 60%. We place them with ourselves as domesticated animals and plants. Every day, more than 200 million animals are killed and slaughtered for food around the world. Not only for food, but they are also killed for fur, teeth, ivory by the poachers, resulting in extinction of more than 35,000 species. Not only that, our oceans, which sustain life, is becoming dead. Marine animals are killed by throwing away of plastics and dumping off the industrial waste in the water bodies. The equivalent one trunk of garbage dumped on the ocean every minute, 17.6 million pounds every year. This loss of biodiversity is not just a tragedy, but the biggest threat to our sustenance. But as we say, nature itself is the best physician. Nature is healing itself with the outbreak of the world's worst pandemic, the coronavirus, which provided Mother Nature's lesson for us. What do you think when you hear the word pandemic? Mask, social distancing, e-learning, hospitals, scientists, lockdown, vaccines, families separated and devastated. When and how we will emerge from COVID-19 is not clear. But one thing is clear, that the risk of the future pandemic will only increase unless we fix our broken relationship with the nature. So, where do we go from here? The pandemic has shown us that we have in us to make a change. We have already observed that coronavirus has led to a significant drop in the air pollution. Delhi, being the 14th most polluted city, has seen reduction in air pollution index. Why? Due to reducing in traffic, commercial vehicles and shutting down of industries. After a long time, we have seen a cleaner river Ganga and Yamuna. So we can say that the rivers are becoming cleaner. Flamingos flocked back to cities. After decades, the majestic Himalayas were visible from Jalandhar and Saharanpur. But when the world goes back to business, the earth may goes back to its old state. But moving forward, we should remember to let the planet breathe by making eco-friendly choices. We can start by planting trees. Even we can start growing our own food to relieve the stress placed on soil. Reusing and recycling wherever possible, like recycling drinking bottles, paper, old batteries. Phasing out fossil fuels and replacing them with the renewables. This will not only slow the warming of the planet, implications on the oceans, melting of the snow, but will lead to have a clean air for all of us. It's time to upgrade to efficient food producing system and reducing the consumption of meat, which will help to reduce deforestation, feeding more people with healthier and affordable foods. We need to work together and restrict dumping of industrial waste into the water bodies. A global network of no fishing zone and treaty with the use of international resources will help in restoring the marine ecosystem. It's time to say no to plastic bags and to make own eco bags. It's also time to work hard to control the increasing population through mass education and family planning. We can also make a change by conserving the watershed, creeks and lakes, which will help in the coming up of the migratory birds in our cities. We can reduce the emission from the cars by walking or cycling. This pandemic has made us realize the importance of being outdoors. So let's protect the natural habitat. It's time to distance ourselves from the things that destroys our planet. It's time to do the little things to make the biggest difference. Now, let's face the climatic emergency and keep our planet's temperature in check. We have adopted new ways of learning. Let's now adopt new ways of living that put our planet at first. Now we have the opportunity to rethink, reboot and reimagine our lives and with nature. It's another chance to build a greener and brighter future for the generation. And that is why the theme of the Environment Day of 2021 is Ecosystem Restoration. So my dear students, let us all take the pledge to save and restore our earth.
Our next and final presentation of this virtual program will help us rediscover the beautiful relationship between man and environment. It is a dance performance by our student Bidisha Sarkar and it is choreographed by our dance teacher Mrs. Rituparna Kar.
Earth is the only known planet having life in this universe. We should respect and maintain everything we get from our Mother Earth.
ये बहती हुई नदी, ये पत्तों का सरसराना, ये चिड़ियों की चहचहाहट, कभी पेड़ों का नदी से अटखेलियां करना और कहीं दूर से आती हुई कोई आवाज। हर तरफ शांति है, हर तरफ खामोशी है। अचानक भीतर एक हलचल होती है, आपको वास्तविक दुनिया पर मंडराते एक भयानक
मुझसे है सांसों की तुझ में रवानी, मैं ना रहा तो रहेगा न पानी। मुझसे है सांसों की तुझ में रवानी, मैं ना रहा तो रहेगा न पानी। मैं तेरा हिस्सा हूँ, तू मेरा हिस्सा,
That brings us to the end of this virtual program. I appreciate the efforts of all our participants and specially thank our teacher Mr. Dipankar Ghosh, the man behind the overall presentation of this virtual program. A very happy World Environment Day to all our viewers. Stay home, stay safe, take care.